Good evening, my Rosalinds and Rosikins. Mother is back. And in this video, I want to talk about how you are your legacy. And I also want to mention that there is no comparison. So I'm going to show you this TikTok video right quick of this beautiful woman making it clear about the comparison game and how it can sabotage your own legacy. And then I'm going to get into what's been on my heart heavy.
Here's the thing. I think what Nicki Minaj has taught me is that to truly reach the pinnacle of greatness, you have to transcend above competitive spirit. And before all the competitors come in and try to jump me, I think that there's a difference between winning something and reaching the pinnacle of greatness. It's one thing to be the best at something at a point in time. It's another thing to be known as the example of greatness in something. Because when you think about it, competition and comparison go hand in hand. When you are in competition, it requires you to send energy out instead of calling energy into yourself. It requires you to be thinking about your opponent, strategizing against them, worried about what they're doing, knowing what their moves might be. All of those things are taking time away from focusing on you, yourself, and your craft. So when we think about Nicki, someone who was at the absolute top of their field for years, but with very little competition. The minute that Cardi came in and opened the floodgates for other female rappers to start coming in, it's almost like Nicki's focus was so much on everyone else and everyone else's lane because the competitive spirit was like, I have to be the best. Let me pay attention to what they're doing. Let me focus on what they're doing. Instead of calling that energy into self and building on a legacy that was already there, a legacy that really should have been like infallible. And she is the one that is disintegrating that legacy because the emphasis on everybody else and what they're doing and what they have going on has completely pulled her out of herself. Like, you are Nicki Minaj, a hip hop icon. There should have never, ever, ever been room for her in her head, in her heart, to be so focused on new girls coming in and allowing yourself to be in competition with them that you have done so much damage to your own legacy. Because when I think about Beyonce, and I promise it's not my intent to pit them against each other. However, when you think about Beyonce, I think that Beyonce herself is only focused on herself. She's not in competition. She does not allow what any and everybody else is doing. Her constant focus is Beyonce. How am I focused on my craft? How am I doing better at the thing that I am great at? That is what her focus is. That is where her energy is dedicated to. And we have seen this woman be in another stratosphere. While Nicki is on Twitter going at any and everybody. It's scary. It's really scary to me how that can even happen. And I just don't know if there's a better representation of comparison being the thief of joy, because joy does not seem to be in the room with us when it comes to that lady.
Okay, so in that TikTok, oh my God, when I first saw that TikTok, I was like, damn, like this is exactly what I've been dealing with personally. And then, if you're following the Nicki Cardi Beyonce situation with like how Nicki deals with, women that are also rap girlies versus Beyonce and how she just sits on her throne and outdoes herself every time because she's not trying to compare and compete, you realize the mindset that's needed and the fact that you are your legacy. You should be obsessed with yourself. You should be obsessed with how far you've come. You know, I understand that social media is a great outlet for us exoticals and whatnot. But what I'm realizing as your mother is that I need to stop comparing myself to other exoticals. I need to stop comparing myself to other people, other women, and where they are versus where I am, and who they are versus who I am. Because, truth be told, they could never walk a mile in my shoes. And I couldn't do that either in theirs. Because what Yah has given me as a beauty destined woman is different than what Yah has given her as a beauty destined woman. And oftentimes, we as beauty destined women, we get inspired by each other, but we also can be envious, jealous, comparing, feeling unhappy with where we are in life, and even down to our own beauty, where we don't feel like our beauty is enough, or we're comparing our beauty type to somebody else's beauty type, and the phenotypes and backgrounds and all that stuff. And then it's like, well, damn, like, am I valid in this space? Am I valid in my life? Am I valid as a pretty girl in the pretty girl club? Am I valid as a Roslyn? Am I valid here? Am I valid there? Am I valid with my family? Am I valid as a social media, icon to be or whatnot, or a social media, content creator, businesswoman, career woman, as a wife, as a single woman, as a mother, you name it, as a girlfriend. Like, a lot of times it's simply because of comparison. Because I promise you, you were feeling like the shit before you started looking at somebody else and looking outside of your own garden, outside of your own destiny, and start looking at somebody else's destiny or where they are within their journey that you may not be at. You were content before all that. You were blessed. You were happy. You were thankful. And then you got off track because you started comparing yourself. And the next you know, you're competing, just like Nicki Minaj is competing with the rap girlies when she's obviously the queen of rap. You start competing. You start competing. And the next thing you know, you look like a damn fool. You know what I'm saying? Or you're like darkening your own legacy. You're tainting your own beauty destiny because you're trying to mimic something that was never meant for you, right? When you already had your greatness. And even down to the point, I practice hoodoo. I do my readings for myself. I was literally talking with my ancestors, and like some of the information they gave me, oh my God, it was like, girly, you have it. You need to chill out. You just need to accept that you're that girl, basically. Because, I'm always seeking, and I realized this when I was talking to other exoticals about this. And one of the exoticals I talked to, she's so sweet. Shout out to Mix Trini. But she was just like, mother, you have got to, get it together. You cannot be like seeking validation from here and from there and from there and from there. And the reason I'm so vulnerable enough to talk about this shit is because, again, I'm a person. I'm not just a voice in a fucking screen. I'm not just a picture. I'm someone who's very intelligent. Also have my own emotional shit that I go through, obviously, and my own traumas that I'm healing from. And so I realized that a lot of times it stems from childhood, and no one could convince me otherwise, which is why I'm big on healing your inner child. When I was younger, I dealt with a lot of spiritual attacks, and one of those being rejection, low self esteem, isolation. What's another one? I feel like there's another one that I'm missing. Rejection, low self esteem, isolation, loneliness, and just like this, like emptiness, like that of a like basically someone who doesn't really have a home internally. I dealt with a lot. Okay, also bullying. I dealt with that. Yeah, I dealt with a lot of stuff growing up, and so the spiritual attacks that were on my life since I was literally a baby, even in the womb, were crazy. When I say crazy, I mean crazy. And you guys know about my mother wounds, because I talk about my relationship with my mother and how that's like, you know, that's that. But yeah, like I've dealt with a lot of shit. Body dysmorphia on top of that, all too. A lot of shit, bro. I've dealt with a lot of shit. And so that plays into my adulthood as a woman and as someone healing my inner child, my inner little girl. And how, you can sit with the best of them, but baby, if you don't think that you're meant to be with the best of them, you will start to sabotage the very greatness that Yah has given you, that your ancestors have entrusted to you, because you're not seeing what is obviously there that others are seeing. And you also have to remember this, right? Part of the spiritual warfare, part of the reckoning of being a beauty destined woman, a beautiful, pretty girl, is that you are going to psych yourself out. The only people that the world tries to convince them they ain't shit are the very ones that are a threat. Sometimes we even have like scales over our own eyes about our own destiny, how blessed we are, how beautiful we are, how intelligent we are, how successful we are, how many generational curses we have broken already, at such a young age, at such an early start to our true awakening and journey in life. And I'm starting to really, really grasp the concept that, damn, when I take comparison out of it, I'm in my own lane. When I take looking at someone else's garden out of it and their beauty destiny out of it, I'm ridiculously blessed. I am favored. I am so loved. I am so beautiful, so pretty. Okay? I am so intelligent. I am literally on my financial freedom journey. Everything that I set out to do this year, I've done for the most part. I have. And am still manifesting and creating and reaching my goals as we speak. I'm literally the young woman that my little version of myself would be proud of. I'm literally the dream girl of the little girl inside of me that I always knew I'd be or wanted to be, right? Like I literally am the dream come true for myself, where I am right now and where I'm going. And so when I realize, hey, let me take a step back. Let me take a step back and actually hone in. Remember where Yah has brought me from. Remember that I am my ancestors' wildest dreams. Remember that I am a daughter of Oshun. Okay, get your life, bro. Remember that I have broken a lot of generational curses by the age of fucking 26. Remember that I am places in my life that people in their 40s aren't even. Remember that I'm not a baby mama. Okay? I never became the statistic. I remember when I was a little girl and I was doing a fashion show literally in elementary school. One of my mother's like close friends, a church friend of ours, she literally was like, hey, mother, you're growing into a beautiful young lady. Just remember to never become a single mother. Like, she literally gave me that advice because she was also a single mother. And she was telling me basically to want more for myself. I've had a lot of elderly, people, Black people, speak into my life, speak into me, reveal things about my own destiny, about my character, about my spiritual gifts, about my heart, about my power, right? And I have remained true to those things. Am I perfect? No. Have I fallen down? Yes. But were the things that, I have made mistakes with irreversible? Fuck no. I literally have stuck to what I've promised myself since I was a little girl. And I'm proud of that shit. you know? And so when I take a step back and I remember how shy I used to be, how insecure I used to be, it's one thing with dealing with body dysmorphia. It's another when you're so insecure that you don't even want to be seen, and I have days where I just want to be by myself, right? I have days where I'm like very anxious and stuff. I talk about it on, my channel, you hear it. But the thing is that I was terrified of having a platform like this at one point in my life. I didn't even think I would be able to do it. I didn't think so. Because I realized that to have a voice means to be criticized. To have a voice and to be seen means to be picked at. It means to be targeted, right? Especially when you're fucking blessed and favored and protected. People are going to try you because they feel like, okay, well, you're out there. Let me start going after you because I see you now. The devil is a liar. The truth is not in him. I rebuke that in the name of Yeshua. Okay? That's one. Second of all, the fact that I'm able to get on here, tell my truth, tell my story, and relate to so many beautiful Rosalynds out there, I am blessed. No, I don't have 10K. No, I don't have 20K. No, I don't have 100K yet. But bitch, I'm going to get there. I know that much because I'm authentic to who I am and I'm authentic with my message because I live it. And because I only want what's best for my Rosalynds. Because I've been through hell, honey. I've been through hell and high water. So I damn sure don't want nobody else going through that. Fuck that. Exactly why I'm sparing my beautiful unborn Rosalind by not bringing her into this bullshit. And I'm standing and stepping on that. Oh, God, to the death of me. Like, literally, I guess, like, for me now, I'm just realizing, like, oh, my God. Oh, my God. I actually did it. I'm actually doing it. At one point, this channel was a fucking dream. I was just like, well, who's gonna listen? I was just thankful if I got like 100 people to listen. Right now, I have like 600 of you and counting. So it's just like, wow, that's crazy. That's crazy to me. Um, that's insane. That's insane that you all relate to my content, you relate to my voice, you relate to my experiences, my beliefs, and you want to keep listening. You want to keep hearing my perspective about the world and the life that I'm living. And I am honored, by that. I'm honored by that. I'm so honored. And you're pretty as fuck on top of it. Oh, I love when pretty girls like to listen to me. It means I got my shit going on. I don't care what nobody says. So, like, I don't know. Like, for me, and then, oh, I was just thinking too. So, like, on my community tab, I be posting about, like, random weird shit. Like, hello, Batman is my ex husband, twice removed. Talk it. And then my forever, I guess you could say October Halloween boyfriend will always be Jeff the Killer. And then I have Aaron Yeager, my anime baby daddy. And I also have the werewolf, my soulmate for life. So I'm just like alpha werewolf technically. So I'm just like, yeah, like I'm into that shit. Fuck y'all. Like, what you mean? But yeah, and the next moment I could be talking about exotical shit. The next moment I'm talking about my heritage. Then I'm talking about voodoo or hoodoo or Hebrew or something. And it's just like I love that I can be me and you all are still listening. Because at one point I thought that I was such an outcast. I thought that I was just the worst thing in the world. I was too weird for popular acceptance. And sometimes I still feel that way because I think people think I'm weird, and I'm okay with it because I am weird. I'm never going to tell you I'm not. I'm such a weirdo and a Scorpio, and I love it. I love it so much. I just know, like, my channel gives Scorpio vibes. I don't give a fuck because I am what I am. Okay, I'm very Scorpio the fuck out. Kid you not. And so I just feel like, okay, like I touch on so many topics. Next minute I'm talking about financial freedom, like and then talk about how I love horror movies, how I like dominant men. But yet I'm here and I at one point like and still do root for 4B living. Like I'm just weird in the sense of I'm not in a box. And I told you guys, like mothers one day going to learn how to get out of that fucking box people try to put me in. Okay? I'm also a black woman. That's also a brown dark-skinned exotical. I know an oxymoron to a lot of people, right? It's not to me. I am both. So I just find it so interesting. I'm also an orphan, but also a daughter. It's crazy. It's crazy. Like I have a mother, I have a father in the sense of, the ones that adopted me. But sometimes I still feel like an orphan in the sense of my home being more of a nomad thing, being more of a finding my tribe, despite me having a family now, and being adopted into a family that I love very much. But I realize that everybody's not meant to get me. They're not going to understand, right? How are you Hebrew and fucking voodoo and hoodoo? How are you all three? It's in my blood. And if I was being extra, I could tell you I also have Norse, Gaelic, etc., because that's in my blood too. So I just think, like, for me, it's just like, wow, when I stop looking outside of my own beauty destiny, out of my own journey, when I stop looking at everyone else that's around me that's, successful or whatnot in their own right, and I start to appreciate my own journey, my own life, my own beauty, my own spirituality, everything about me that makes me me, my personality, you know, I start to see there is no competition. And that's what I'm getting at. When you take a step back from the worldview of everyone around you and you look at where you come from, what you've always wanted, where you're going, you realize that your prayers have been answered and are being answered. You realize that you don't need to compare because they'll never be able to be you and you'll never be able to be them, but you can appreciate, real, recognize real type of energy, but never get discouraged. I'm realizing that I should not be feeling low about myself because somebody else is being praised. I should not be feeling like, okay, well, maybe I'm a poser. Maybe I'm not spiritual enough. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I'm not exotical enough. Maybe I'm not black enough for some people. Maybe I'm not proper enough. Maybe I'm not ghetto enough. Like, no, that's not how this shit works over here. You know, you have to understand that you are your legacy. And the reason I also made this video is because I'm child free. And a lot of times people think that children are there to pass on a fucking legacy. They're your lineage. Let me get this clear for everybody that's listening. Children are your lineage. What you do with your life, the people you touch, the places you go, the journey that God has given you from your soul contract and all that good shit, that is your legacy. That is the remembrance of you. Not how many babies you pop out, not who you impregnate if you're a man, Razakin, listening to this. That's not the legacy. Now they can continue on with your legacy as in continuing the works that you were doing. Like, let's say that you are an activist. That's your legacy. But when you have children, they want to continue being activists. So it's like a bloodline thing. Like, you might come from a family of preachers. So you're passing on that legacy, that work. But them being born from you having your DNA is not a legacy. That's a lineage. That's a descendant, etc., etc. You are their ancestor. So you just gotta understand, because some people think that, okay, I popped out a baby, there's my legacy. No, the fuck it's not. No, it's not. Okay, the baby is not your legacy. That's your lineage. What you have done with your life, that's your legacy. And so I want to remind you that, because child free and even parents, sometimes we forget what a legacy is and how important it is to understand what you bring to life, what you're here for, what your destiny is, what your work is, what your soul contract is. I know for a fact that I'm made to break generational curses in my family bloodline, and I know that I am and have more to go. I know that part of my legacy is to help teach women, young and old, just about empowerment, about remembering who the fuck they are, to be quite frank with you, and to hopefully bring upon healing, taking them and helping them on their healing journey from the little girl inside, as I also heal myself, right? Because I'm not only a teacher, I could be a student as well, because I too have a lot to learn about life, about love, about spirituality, about, what it is to be a woman and to stand in your womanhood, right? So, like, that's something else that I realize about myself. I'm someone that is made to not fit in any fucking box. I am the anomaly. I am the outcast. I am the rebel. I realize that too. I really am that girl. I'm the divergent in this shit. Like, on God. I'm just that girl. Like, I don't know what to tell nobody. I will never know what to tell anybody, because you can't put me in a box. The very thing that I realize when people underestimate me, I always prove them fucking wrong. It's hilarious to me. I'm not even trying to prove you wrong sometimes. It just happens naturally, because I'm destined to not be predictable in the way that you think I would move. I'm destined to always have my freedom. I realize that. That's why I fuck with Aaron Yeager so high and heavy. Attack Titan. He is someone who always pushes forward. Freedom is his battle cry. And I live by that, right? We're all born free, period. It's the systems, it's the governments, it's the policies, the political climate, the social norms that put us in certain boxes. And I'm not saying that there isn't a need for governance and some control, because I believe that some people left to their own devices will really do some heinous shit. So again, like I said, I'm not in a box. I'm not so radical that I can't see the need for order, but I'm not so rigid that I don't think chaos isn't necessary either. So I'm just someone who literally I'm just different. And it's not that I'm not like the other girls type of thing. That's not who I am either, because I am like the other girls, but then I'm not. I'm just me. I'm just mother. And mother, you can't put a fucking label on me, because I'm always going to be something that you least expect, you know? I mean, I can't tell you how many times people have told me that I'm not what they expected, or mother, you could talk to anybody. Like, I just can, because I'm sorry. This is just how I am. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to be other than myself. I don't know. I don't know. Because quite frankly, who I am is who I am. I also realized that when you're here with a mission, when you came with a purpose into this world, whether you realize it or not, you know, and you have a calling on your life, you're going to become that very thing. You're going to be that very thing that you're always destined to be. Now, how do we have moments where all of us might feel like, well, what am I here for, y'all? Like, why was I created? Yes, I've had those moments. They call the dark night of the soul, like coming face to face with your shadow self, coming face to face with the parts of you that you hate, even. I've been there. In certain parts of me, I don't even hate it anymore. I just want to heal it. And that's when you realize you're growing as a person on your journey. And like I said, I even had someone come up to me about what, like 2 days ago, and tell me that, hey, like, I see you, like, you have an aura. It was a young black man, and he was telling me this, like, when I see you have an aura, your look, it works for you. And, it was just the most randomest thing. This was early in the morning, like 6:30, and so I was just like, wow. Like, thank you. I appreciate that. And I asked him if he was spiritual as well. And he was like, yeah, he is spiritual. But the thing that I'm trying to say is that you never know who's clocking you. I have never talked to this man in my entire life. Never. You know? And for him to randomly say that, he was like, I don't want to be rude, but you have an aura. You have like something about you. You know what I'm saying? And I get that. I get that a lot because I'm just me, And some people try to say that certain things are cultivated, which I believe that when you have a gift, it can be heightened, it can be honed in on. But everybody isn't you. Everybody isn't born with certain things you're born with. I realize that I'm born with certain gifts and a certain type of energy and aura around me that draws certain people to me, that makes people feel inspired about themselves, that empowers people, and I love that for them. I love that for me. And if I'm too busy feeling like a Debbie Downer because so and so is getting more likes, so and so is getting more attention, so and so is looking prettier today in my eyes, than me in that moment. So and so is getting admiration. So and so is at this part of her journey and I'm not. So and so is, if I'm focused on all that shit and not on what the blessings are before me, as my ancestors showed me in my reading, look, let me tell you something, Rosalind. Low key, your ancestors be annoyed with you when you keep doubting the very blood that runs through you, when you keep doubting just how empowered they have, made you. When you keep doubting your beauty, your talent, your intelligence, your future, and that it's fucking bright like a diamond, it's like that sunset peeking through at dawn or some shit, or early in the morning, like twilight. Let me stop. Not twilight. I think twilight's kind of dull. But like when the sunset breaks or it's rising. I say when the sun's rising early in the morning, but it's been very dark. Your future is that bright, honey. And you over here talking about, I don't know what's gonna happen. I mean, am I pretty enough? Am I good enough? Am I authentic enough to people? Am I exotic enough, exotical enough? Am I intelligent enough? Do I have enough degrees? Do I have enough money? Like when you're doing all that shit, your ancestors are literally looking at you like, girl, you better get that shit together. We done too much for you to be over here doubting shit. Like, you have got to understand, stand in your greatness, stand in your legacy, stand in your beauty destiny, stand in your soul contract, stand in who the fuck you were made to be. Because the people that really fuck with you are going to fuck with you. But when you start to try to switch up who you are to appease certain people, it never works. It never works because you're not them, they're not you. And people could tell, even if they don't understand that, they're able to tell, or that you're trying to be something you're not. People will always be able to tell. That's why I'm authentic to who I am, even in the moments that are not the prettiest. When I'm telling you how I'm feeling sometimes, how I've compared myself, how I feel sometimes like just undervalued and stuff, and then I question my own journey. Like, I'm telling you this, my Rosalynds, because Mother always wants to empower you. I told you my channel is here to remind you who the fuck you are, and I mean that shit to the death of me. And so I'm going to tell you this because, I'm a person, you're a person, you're a woman, I'm a woman. And I realized that in order to become higher, to become greater, to become your higher self, You have got to be only, and the only competition you have is with yourself. You know, you cannot, I repeat, you cannot outdo yourself trying to outdo somebody else. You're in the wrong competition and your energy is going to be wasted and you're going to become bitter because you're not rising, because you're trying to catch up to a legacy that was never yours, to a person that can never walk a day in your shoes, and to a whole entire soul contract that doesn't even align. You know, who's to say that you're not being hidden because you're meant to be cherished by someone even greater than anyone can fathom, as in a partner? So let's say for me, I was also thinking this. You know, I was telling myself also, I feel like once I stopped comparing and started really analyzing myself where I am right now in my journey, I believe I'm being hidden because there is a certain type of eyes that are going to be on me and that I'm destined to meet and to create a beautiful life with and to be blessed immensely by. And so, no, I'm not about to be blowing up like a fucking rock star. I don't think I'm meant to blow up like a rock star. I believe that my Roslins are authentic to Mother's journey and Mother's legacy. And so I don't want every single woman following me that's exotical, that, you know, doesn't agree with my lifestyle, doesn't relate to my content, doesn't relate to me as a person. I don't want every Tom, Dick, and Harry because he thinks I'm pretty following me either, or validating me simply because. I want when people tell me shit on my channel to mean something. I want to know, okay, these are my Rosalynds. These are not just some random pretty women that see my shit and once I say something they don't like, oh fuck you, mother type of energy. Or, you know, other exoticals that, you know, can't appreciate my authenticity to who I am, what I look like, my heritage, you know, my admixtures, you know, me being a black woman that is also a brown to dark skin exotical that's not mixed in that sense, but have been asked, you know, about my heritage in that sense too. But yeah, I don't want certain people to follow me, support me. You know, I want people that can look at me, hear my voice, and say, damn, I relate completely or damn near completely to her. Some things I might view differently, but I understand where she's coming from. I damn sure know she's being genuine and authentic to who she is. And I could rock with that, you know? But I don't need someone who's trying to spy on me, just follow me only to tear me down, hating on me, etc., etc. I don't want those type of Roslins. And I wouldn't even call them Roslins, but, you know, pretty girls or whomever, you know, listen to my content and then switch your root up on me. I don't need that. And that's not to say that, you know, if you go your separate ways that, you know, you're never a true supporter. I'm not saying that either. But what I'm saying is I want a solid fucking base, not no, you know, 100 followers overnight type shit. I want people that actually fuck with me is what I'm trying to say. Because one of the biggest things for me is loyalty and authenticity and honesty. If those two things aren't hitting, I don't really fuck with you. I'm just gonna keep it a bug. If I feel like you're not giving me the same energy I'm giving for you, at this stage in my life, I'm fucking over it. Because I work too damn hard, I'm too authentic, I'm too vulnerable, I'm too encouraging, I'm too healing, okay? And I say the shit that y'all don't even know how to say sometimes or are too afraid to say. I say that shit on my channel, and we all should know it by now. I just do. You know, I am a Scorpio. I am that I am, as Yahweh says. You know, so yeah, I'm just nah. I'm good. Like I'm over here giving my whole heart and soul on my fucking channel. When I like again, when I stop comparing myself and I realize who the fuck I am, I'm mother. Okay? Okay. Rosalind the Exotical. Let's go, bitch. Like I'm so done. So it's like, hold up. It's an honor to have me support you. It's an honor to have me praise you. It's an honor to be loved by me, to be cared for by me, to be thought about by me. Just like I consider it an honor when you do that for me, you know, as your mother. And you're my Rosalynds and whomever, my peers, you know, fellow content creators, etc., people I love in my personal life, etc. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that if I can cherish the fact that you have come across my life and that you've brought meaning, and I can let you know that, and people can't do the same with me being in their life and let me know that, then there's a problem and I'm not dealing with it. Because I'm really, and this is another thing when the comparison thing, sometimes also you start to compare yourself because you realize the energy is not being reciprocated. You start to compare yourself because you feel that you are being othered within an already exclusive group, right? You might feel that way because you might think that, okay, like I get so happy for so and so, but I realize that that energy isn't given back to me. And it's not even to say that people express it differently, but it's the fact that nobody's expressing it at all. You get what I'm saying? And especially with the consistency. So that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just so many things that leads one to want to look outside their own beauty destiny because they are comparing. And comparison is the thief of joy and the thief of legacy, if I'm being honest. Because only you can do it like you can, Rosalind's. Only you can be her, Rosalind. You know? When we say her, any woman can be her, but she is her type of her. So she is she, you are you. And I think for me, it's just the mind blowness of me coming to this understanding. I wouldn't want to be anybody else. I can't be anybody else. All I can be is me. And to give someone so much power to influence you on a day to day because they cannot acknowledge your greatness, but they can acknowledge somebody else's, is whack. And to think that you need that validation is even more whack because you were already crowned. You came into this world crowned. You came into this world beauty destined. You have come so far on your personal journey. Why are you comparing yourself? Why do you feel inadequate? You need to continue to heal. And that's what this video is about. You are your own legacy. There is no comparison. And if you are continuing to compare yourself, you need to heal and also think about how far you've come. Think about, look, sometimes it just takes a moment of clarity to think about how far you come, and then you realize, shit, I remember when I used to, want this when I said when I would become older. As a little girl, I dreamed of having this when I was grown. And then you realize, oh wait, I did do that. Okay, so I checked off my bucket list. I have accomplished that. I have became that. I have, this type of relationship that I always wanted. I have the body that I always wanted. I have the beauty I've always wanted. I have the funds to, live a great life. I'm debt free. I'm educated. I'm fit. I own up to every part of me. I have been exploring my heritage, etc., etc., etc. I don't chase after men like my mother did. I am healing from, anything that has happened that traumatized me. Or if you're, like someone who's breaking generational curses and you happen to have kids in this sense, you could be like, well, I don't let my little girl go over to other people's houses, so she's not going to be able to get touched like I was, etc. Like things like that. Or if your child feels like mother, for me, I'd be like, well, I'm not going to have kids being adopted because I'm not going to put any children in that situation where I'm inadequate as a parent, and so but I like am very lackadaisical with their life, or I'm just popping out babies because it's something to do. No, I fuck that. That's why I'm child free. You see, that curse ends with me. Now, again, whatever your siblings might choose to do with their bodies and have children, etc., I pray they break certain generational curses. But that one where I'm just, a baby making machine, especially with a dusty, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it at all. Because I believe that my Rosalind is too great for this fucked up world. And I stand on that 10,000%. I don't give a fuck what nobody thinks. This world doesn't deserve children. I'm always going to say it because it's the fucking truth. Now, if you feel so inclined to, be in your feelings about that statement, you go ahead. You pop out all the babies you want. Just know that they will be suffering because this world does not protect the innocent, and also the patriarchy we live in, especially if she's a beautiful little girl for you. And I'm not telling you not to have a beautiful baby girl if you want one, or a beautiful baby boy. But what I am saying is I don't want to hear no one fighting me on that, because the truth is the world still does not deserve innocent souls nor children. No, it does not. And if you cannot see that when you look at the news, look on your fucking phone just scrolling, look out into the world, like, then I don't know what to tell you. But for me personally, that's a generational curse I'm not passing on. The existence of what? To be here and get fucked over, to get here and get scarred. Like, again, I want to remind you, my Rosalynds, that we are the ones that beat the odds. We are the survivors. We are the thrivers, the conquerors of the very things that tried to bury us. You see, my Rosalynds ain't no weak bitches. That's on everything I love. They are women that have fought for their freedom, that have fought to be better than the women before them, and that have fought to break generational curses that the women before them had to deal with. Y'all some real warriors, like Valkyrie type shit. Okay, shout out to my Norse heritage. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't have the time. I don't have the time. I just don't have the time. I don't. I will never have the time. And so, yes, I am going to speak on certain shit on my channel because this is who Mother is. Hence, my channel. And like I said, if someone doesn't like it, please go. Because on my channel, what I said, skinny, pretty, wealthy. And a mixture within that is the spiritual aspect. It's the understanding yourself aspect. It's the owning up to everything you are aspect. Hence, the exotical aspect. You become unapologetically you. You stand in who the fuck y'all made you to be. You don't try to appease motherfuckers that couldn't walk a day in your shoes. You know, I want you to know that when you think of Roslyn, you think of like a Claudine type girl. Fashionable, pretty, intelligent, but also a fighter when she needs to be. Also fierce as fuck in the most feminine way as possible. We are not Barbara the Builders on this channel. We are not women that are social justice warriors, but we are women that believe in fighting for what we love. We are passionate women on this channel. We don't just go around lackadaisical about certain shit that is life altering. We just don't. You know, we have causes that mean something to us and we stand by them and we help other women that need it. But we also realize that sometimes we get in our own way when we start comparing ourselves to other women as well. And so we have videos like this to give us a reality check, remind us who the fuck we are, and to continue on being part of the Pretty Girl Club, as Dr. United would say, and being part of, you know, the Rosalynds. Okay? And being a brown shit Darkskin Exotical. To try to seem like you're perfect is really stupid and very untrue. I am flawed. I am working on the darkest parts of me, obviously. And I'm growing. And I'm thankful for my own journey, my own beauty legacy, my own soul contract, my own beauty destiny, because I have come a long way. And I am proud of who I am. I am proud of who I come from, where I come from. I'm proud of my journey. You know, I love the people that have raised me, that have poured into me throughout my life. And I have said yes to Yahweh a long time ago, since I was a little girl, about accepting who He made me to be. And so that's never changing, no matter where I find myself in life. No matter where I find myself in life, I can only be Mother. And this video is to encourage you, my Rosalyns, to know that you can only be Rosalind. You don't have to be anybody else. You are perfect just the way you are. You really are. And perfect in the sense of destined for the way you are, you know? And I'm not talking about, you know, just laying down, accepting the worst parts of us. Do the work, do the shadow work. What I'm saying is, though, that every scar you have, also every beauty blemish you have, or beauty mark you have, they make you who you are. Every regret, every obstacle, and every achievement, and every road that's open all brings you to who you need to be. And no matter where you are and what you see on social media, what you see in your life, in your real life, etc., understand that you are not competing with anybody but yourself. Understand that you are your legacy. And that should be enough. And then you thrive, because all you're going to be focused on is outdoing yourself. And I realized too, when I was only focused on outdoing myself, I keep rising, because I'm my own competition, which means that I need to be better than I was yesterday. You know what I'm saying? I have to really deal with my own shit, because when I deal with my own shit, nothing can stop me. I'm all the way up. But when I start, you know, not dealing with my own shit, worried about other people's shit, now I'm stagnant. Now I can't get ahead, because I'm trying to play ball in somebody else's court when I have my own court and my own ball that's catered to me specifically to help me achieve things that I couldn't achieve if I was in their situation. You know what I'm saying? So again, I hope this video helps to remind you that you're your own legacy. There's no comparison, and that you have such a bright future and you've come a long way. And I'm so proud of you, just like I'm proud of myself. Because it's not easy. It's not easy being a beauty destined woman. It's not easy being a Rosalind. It's not easy being exotical. It's not easy being anything. Shit, it's not even easy being a woman. So, we all have our own burdens to bear and our own accomplishments and curses to break and triumphs to have. We have our own things that we have to conquer in this lifetime individually. And your journey is just as valid as mine. My journey is just as valid as yours. You shining doesn't take away from me. Me shining doesn't take away from you. All we can do is do better and remember that our own competition is ourselves. And with that, Mother is going to say, ciao. I love you so much. I'm so proud of you. And 2026 is almost here. And please be safe. Okay, bye.